And Lisa, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
He's like, what did I do? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, have we had anyone sign up to speak? And we're live.
You are live.
We're also streaming.
Yes.
Yes. I will first of all ask for approval of the minutes from the agency meeting of February 15, 2022. Moved by Jay, seconded by Joe. Any additions or corrections? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, Mr. Brian LaFountain is going to give us an update on the USRE Manitou project. And he generally reports on the local labor exemptions. We need a podium. Don't
We'll make
ask for
it.
anything else, right? That's okay.
Good afternoon, thank you. As you mentioned, I don't have any local labor exemptions to report today, but I would like to give you an update on the Manitou Road. So with our weekly meetings or our bi-weekly meetings, I want to give you a latest update. So as of 3/19/22, the local labor percentage was slowly creeping up. It's now at 66%. So it's starting to come around a little bit. Good news is it's trending up. That's based on head count, man days. The reason it's creeping back up is because the steel workers are rolling off. And right now, they're down for the steel workers. You're down to about 11 workers on site now, as opposed to 120 back in the in the height. And 9 of those are local. So that's the good news. And looking at the projections for the end of the project, where they're going to end up, they're right around 69%. So based on our conversations, we're highly recommending that they try to make changes where they can to get to that 70, right? Which is the key number. So again, the projections come out about 69%. One other piece of good news is that with the head count is at 66% right now, as I mentioned, but the dollars paid to local versus non-local is 71.2% of the dollars paid out are to local contractors. So that's trending obviously very well. They're ahead of budget in that regard. So that's the news. Any questions?
So, Brian, have you heard anything about the installation of the conveyor and the electrician and the contractor? Anybody reach out to you on that next? Okay.
We have had preliminary discussions with regard to some of the other finished handling equipment, or what are they?
Material.
Thank you, material handling equipment. And we've identified those contractors and made sure that at Layton, they can identify them in their system, and they're specifically identified in there because some of them are going to be Amazon employees, some of them not. So they're going to be able to be identified in the system, as well as in theory within the building, they close off the sections once they're complete and they're ready for the material handling equipment to come in.
And a second question outside of Amazon, are you working with Kevin on the 17 that were on a project? They didn't leave the project. We tried to share with local contractors.
Are we talking about the mason?
Yes.
Yes. So, just to be completely straight with you, there was a delay in that. That was on my fault. Got caught in my emails. So we are past the 45 days on that. So that was my fault to begin with. However, as a follow-up, I did process it. I processed it late. They had a crew. The explanation was at the time when they submitted their exemption, their contractor had a local crew and a non-local crew. That the local crew was not available, so we applied for an exemption. Well, when the time came, they had Kevin Loki identified some out of area workers that were on site. They were asked to be removed. They came back to me. They resubmitted their exemption request based on a cost differential this time. First time around, it was no local labor available. This time around, they wanted to do it via a cost differential because we were able to identify some local contractors. They were union contractors. And we said, you need to reach out to these union contractors. So then they came back and said, it's going to be much more expensive. So I want to submit an exemption based on the cost differential. I asked them for some support for that dollar amount, saying, well, how did you come up with the 25% cost differential? Because they didn't supply anything. They just said it's going to be X amount of dollars more expensive. I said, I need to find some support for that. Haven't heard back from them. So I'm not sure. I mean, I haven't heard from Kevin that anybody else non-local has been on the site. So I don't know what they're doing. But we have not approved an exemption for that.
Okay. So the Builders Exchange is union and non-union friendly, and there's their resource for local labor. I would just hate to see that this automatically goes outside of the area on these two specific reasons. So I appreciate you.
Yeah, no, agreed. And that's why we pushed back and I asked for additional documentation. You can't just tell me it's going to be more expensive.
Right.
So you want to use that out of area. You got to show me some support. Because we provided them with a number of other local contractors to reach out to.
Okay, thank you.
We're also making some changes to our website that we're upgrading right now. So when those exemption requests are filed, there's more than one person, that's receiving them or looking at them. So we're going to cover all of our bases there.
Yeah, that'll help me out.
So-
Because as I mentioned, that was on me. I just lost it in my emails.
Yeah.
So therefore I'm the one who caused it to be 45 days over. But as we got
You've fallen
through
on
it,
your sword quite enough. It
but as we
happens.
got through it, it's I don't know what's going on, but something didn't smell right.
It does us pass the smell check, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to get back to us on that.
Yeah, as soon as I hear, I don't know if it'll just go away and they use local guys.
Brian, to that point, has Kevin been there
Yeah.
since this? Is he doing a fairly regular? Then
He continues to go back because he caught those folks on site that were out
Okay,
of there.
so we haven't seen the out of town. Okay.
No.
I'd also like to come back to Manitou. The 70%, we are they're supposed to achieve the 70% based on dollars or on
Head count.
head count. Very good.
It's
Thank you.
actually both.
Oh, it is?
It
Okay.
is
The
both?
waiver was granted on both.
Okay,
So.
so they have
dollars-
to get both approvals. Okay. Very
The
good.
one they're lagging behind
Moving
is
in the
the
right
head count.
direction.
Right. Yeah, it's absolutely. Yeah, which is great to see.
Okay, thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda is to review the local labor monitoring report. And you have a copy of that report in your packets. Kevin is out of town. So if you have read this, you have any questions, staff can try to do that. We just talked about the one questionable item, the mason workers on Union Street. So, any questions on that? No? Okay, we'll keep going. Greg, you want to review our financials? We're rich. Good job.
Sure. So 2 months into our fiscal year, we're going to talk about our audit, here later in the program. But again, balance sheet continues to remain strong, cash of approximately $8.7 million, down a little bit from where we were year end, but that's basically paid down significant accrued liabilities, mainly the county contract and the comp plan that we do that every single year. So, but overall, like cash balance, where it is today compared to, I look back over a 4-year period, so so you can see the trend. Our average over the past 4 years has been around 7.5 million, so we're quite a bit above that, and that represents about a 26% increase since 2018, and conversely, about a 23% increase in our equity. And our net assets, and again, just because cash is our most significant, asset that we talk about. Prepaid expenses, again, these are just things that we prepay The majority of that $200,000 is the comprehensive plan that was approved, that's being amortized over a 3-year period, as well as some Ptac funding. In terms of, the accrued liabilities and things that are other significant balances on our balance sheet, those represent the Empower programs that we accrue for every single month. We're accruing for those based on estimates, and then we're paying those on a quarterly basis. So you'll continue to see those two programs. Income and expenses through 2 months. You can see closed revenue is about $686,000 of fee revenue. Again, down from where we were a year ago. But I will tell you that based on where we are through March of today, you'll see March reverse, and we'll be quite a bit ahead of where we were last March once March closes.
Yeah.
We had a couple big projects close there, so a lot of good stuff happening, as you know, based on what we had closed and approved last year and our current closed projects, which I'll touch on a little bit later on here. In terms of program community developments, which is our most significant spend, again, those are the two Empower programs, both the healthcare program and the traditional workforce development program that we've committed to for this year and future years. And then lastly, our general administrative expenses is just, that's on budget. That just the timing of that is just a little bit challenging in the first 2 months, so that'll even out as time goes on. So overall, like I said, very strong first start to 2 months, and 3 months is probably going to be the strongest we've had in recent history when we get to March. Overall, you'll see that our dashboard, looks, we've approved $3.6 million of projects year to date. We came into the year with about almost $4 million of both approved projects that we haven't closed on yet. So that pipeline, that deal where we're going to expect fee revenue is very strong. We've already approved 3.6 million last year. For the whole year was a little over 7.5 million. So through 2 months,
Not bad for 2 months.
we've already closed 50% of what we did all of last year. Okay. So, again, a lot of good stuff there. And again, our revenue was always average over 4 years. It's always been about $2 million fee revenue. Last year was a different year, about $3.9 million of fee revenue. Based on what we see today, with the backlog, with the pipeline, with the closed projects, even in the first 2 months, I certainly feel that, that number will be well above $4 to $5 million in fee revenue. And like I said, I don't know if we've ever gotten that to that level. In addition to that, besides our program expenses, which I'll talk about, our overhead has basically stayed flat over 4 years. Basically, $2 million of revenue and $2 million of overhead is basically the overhead side, and the other expenses have stayed flat. So all good on the revenue standpoint, all good on the pipeline and the future projects. And lastly, like I said, just to think about, okay, generating all this revenue, we have, we've committed to do the workforce development program with Empower, which was 1.5 million over a 3-year period. We have the healthcare program that we've committed to, which was a $200,000 program, which was, I think, January to June this year, right? A 6-month program. We have the comprehensive plan that we've committed to help the county with, which outlines all the future projects and planning and development. That's $200,000 over a 3-year period. And then, the modernization plan that we talked about either a month or two ago, that we're committing to help reinvest our fee revenue back into the county. That represents about $2.5 million. So although we're
All going into
all going
workforce
back in.
development,
All going back in.
job creation,
So
getting people employed.
all good stuff.
That's good. Good update. Greg, any questions for Greg? All right. Working your magic. All right, we'll start then looking at this month's project applications. The first one is American Management Llc. And I believe we have David Connors with us. Okay, thank you. We'll get started in just a second. So, Robin, what's her name? You want to give the review with us?
Yes. American Management, a real estate holding company, is adding 8,000 square feet to its existing building for its tenant, American Fleet Maintenance, a related entity. American Fleet Maintenance performs vehicle maintenance and repair on light-duty to heavy-duty trucks and trailers for local and national fleets. The expansion will improve the working environment, create new jobs, and increase their capacity. American Fleet Maintenance will also be upgrading equipment, and a portion of the additional space will be used as a training area. American Fleet Maintenance plans to create 3.5 new FTEs in addition to its existing 17 FTEs. The $1.6 million project is seeking a real property tax abatement, mortgage recording tax, and sales tax exemption. The cost-benefit ratio is 12-1.
Okay, great. Thanks, Robin. So, David, you want to elaborate any further on all of that? It was a pretty good summary of what you're doing. And
Yeah, Robin covered it very well. We are looking to, really, it'll expand our production area by about 50% to allow us to serve the needs of the fleets better. And we've had a real influx of an area that we specialize in, which is medium heavy truck collision, more specifically frame repair. So we get a lot of that from companies in the area, and really the body shops in the area that can't handle that, that don't have the technology to do it. We've been doing that, and it's been a real growth area for us. I'd like to add a few guys if we can find skilled labor, which is a real challenge right now. I think we can double the requirements for employment.
great, great. And you've been in business serving vehicle fleets since 1994. You're one of those local success stories.
I graduated high school, went off to college, took a job for a large trucking company in Portland, and moved around a little bit with them, came back here and decided to just come back home.
Well, that's great. We're
In
glad you did.
2000, American Fleet had grown enough to outgrow the little place that I was renting, and COMIDA was gracious enough to help me with buying land and putting up the current facility.
Great. It's a nice investment for Monroe County and for you. So,
People that have been with me 15, 20, and over
Good.
20 years,
great.
which is great.
That's
I'm
very
blessed to have
good.
that.
Hopefully it's the Amazon contract.
Any questions for David?
Just a comment, hope you get the Amazon contract.
Okay.
Not sure he does.
Moving right along.
Moving on.
Moving on.
All right, so there was a public hearing held on March 24th. Were there any comments?
No, there were not.
Okay. So I'll ask you about our local labor questions. Are you aware of our local labor policy?
Yes,
And do you anticipate any local labor exemptions at this time?
no,
And are you aware that if there are any exemptions, that they need to be requested 45 days in advance?
yes.
Great. The seeker process is complete. We'll now move forward with the reading of the resolution.
A regular meeting of the County of Monroe
Move
Industrial.
to waive the reading of this resolution and subsequent resolutions.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any additional comments on that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, since we've all got the resolutions in our packets and we've read them word for word, I will now ask for a motion for inducement and final resolution approving the real property tax abatement, mortgage recording tax, and sales tax exemptions. Been moved by Rhett, seconded by Lisa. Any other comments? I'll take a roll call vote.
We just noticed your box isn't there.
My boxes aren't here.
On this one or the next one? It's on the third one.
Okay. All
We
right,
both
so
proofread.
I'm going to go in the same sequence then. Jay,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
Troy,
Yeah,
Joe,
Yes.
Rhett,
Yay.
and Ann is a yay, so that's unanimous. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and good luck.
Good luck.
Continued success to you. Next project is Supervision Inc. And I believe we have David Worth and David Burke here with us today. You're right in the front row.
Mhm.
Great.
Keep it simple with David.
A lot of Davids today.
David, okay. So, Robin, would you like to walk us through this request?
Supervision Inc. is a leading manufacturer of contact lenses with manufacturing and distribution facilities in multiple countries. Supervision Inc. is proposing a renovation and expansion of their existing facility in Scottsville to accommodate growth in its Biofinity product line. Approximately 5,500 square feet of existing space will be renovated and approximately 7,000 square feet will be added. Supervision Inc. plans to create 100 new FTEs in addition to its existing 158 FTEs. The $23.5 million project is seeking the Enhanced Jobs Plus Real Property Tax Abatement and Sales Tax Exemption. The cost benefit ratio is 27:1.
Thanks, Robin. Okay. The Davids. Any additional comments you'd like to make?
No, I've heard that a couple times now. My name's Dave Burke. I'm the project manager for this project for Supervision. As pointed out, we are renovating a fairly large area of the existing facility. And that's
You're Burke or Worth?
Burke, U-R-K.
Okay, thank you.
We're renovating a fairly large portion of the facility, turning it into clean room space for the expansion of the Biofinity production. We had every opportunity to implement that line in Puerto Rico. Supervision made the decision to bring it here. They felt it was the right thing to do for the area as well as for the company. The space that we're adding is to accommodate departments that are being relocated. We're turning this existing space into clean room. So we're having to move our packaging line, we're moving our maintenance shop, our mold service shop, and our machine shop into the expansion. And our warehouse will continue to occupy part of that new expansion.
So, and this would make your Rochester facility competitive with the Puerto Rico facility?
Well, they do the same thing. It's the benefit for Supervision is that we're able to manufacture the products in the U.S.
Right,
Not have to deal with all the import
Right.
activities. Get the products more cost effectively and quicker to our customers.
Could I add a comment to that?
absolutely.
So the part of the evaluation and the part of company management was the compensation cost in Puerto Rico is less than in Rochester. And that really was the catalyst for reaching out to all of you to say, can you partner with us to help us bring down our costs with some of the tax benefits that we're asking for, really to make it more economically advantageous to do the manufacturing here in Rochester and in the States.
Level of playing field.
And is it the Cooper companies that are serving a half dozen countries with same products?
So I can speak for the Scottsville. Yeah, we service at least a half a dozen countries with our made-to-order products. Yeah, I've heard Hungary and Belgium and some other countries overseas. Yes.
Very impressive. Any questions?
What is the Biofinity line? I'm just quick.
I'm not a contact lens manufacturing expert. I'm a project manager. It's a
Just in layperson's terms. Just
it's for made-to-order contact lenses,
Okay.
not necessarily standard prescriptions. So as I understand it, as an optometrist, if you're putting a prescription in for a client, patient, you can put it right in there, and it actually goes right to this line, and it starts the manufacturing process right there.
Okay. So once it's in that line, is that where it continues to go? Are these the daily disposables or are these reusable?
30-day,
30 days.
30-day, yeah.
Okay.
With the job creation of 100 over 3 years,
Yeah.
and we just heard, and we're struggling with finding labor. Is that, do you think, going to be an issue at all? That job requirement is pretty high.
So David and I had a pretty good conversation with Chad Boley, our HR director, yesterday, and so we've got some comments we want to make on that. So we are largely looking at entry-level positions. Cooper has every intention of training and developing these individuals into the roles that they will fill. They really maintain, this is kind of a summary, they maintain a comprehensive, really multifaceted approach to their recruiting, being very creative with their workforce development. Starts with having one individual who, that's their sole job, is to kind of manage and run that workforce recruitment activities. They hold in-house career fairs, as well as they've been to a couple of external ones at the Youth Community and Resource and Employment Fair. There was one at the St. Stanislaus Church that we've participated in. We're at this point interviewing on average 5 to 10 people a week, right, for these open positions. We've also established partnerships with BOCES, the Veterans Outreach Center, and Access VR as opportunities for finding employees. We also utilize 2 temp agencies, and we have a strong track record of converting temp employees to permanent employees within 60 to 90 days. Right? Very importantly, and Chad really focused on this, is when we're interviewing, we describe a very clear career development path for employees coming in. And while we have no data for that yet, we strongly believe that's going to help in our long-term retention of these employees, not just getting them there, but getting them to stay with the company. So yes, it's a very difficult job market. We believe we have a good, proactive, multifaceted strategy toward getting the employees that we're seeking.
And one of Chad's sort of closing comments was that given the number of interviews per week, 5 to 10, it's even allowing the company to be selective in its hiring, which I think that maybe helps underscore for those that are seeking jobs and want good jobs. Supervision is getting enough of them that they're not in a position of having to hire you just because you walk in the door. They can even be selective.
No, this is exciting. It was a concern.
Yeah, it is.
I guess, being that it takes 3 years to get to the 100, would we want to step back and kind of look at the 33 and a half after a year and see if we're on pace? If
How many have you hired so far?
So like we have a similar commitment to Empire State Development for 100 within the first year. We're at 34 already.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Beautiful.
We do have a compliance committee too,
Mhm.
that reviews
Mhm.
where we are on the job commitments and the projects in general.
Sure.
We do that annually, and then if there's any issues, we reach out and ask questions, but it sounds like you're off to a fast start.
Awesome.
And the salary information is on page 55 of our packets that shows of the new jobs what the low, high, and average salaries would be. So competitive wages for sure.
What is the cost differential, the wage differential between Puerto Rico and Monroe County?
I don't have that detail at the top of mind. I mean, this is I find this to be an interesting sort of character trait of the company as a whole. Do you recall when there was a very significant earthquake in Puerto Rico?
Yes.
Right, so in my position at the company, I see every dollar that the company spends. And I saw them buying generators, like hundreds of generators. And I said, what on earth, and going to Puerto Rico, are you buying these to run the business? They were buying them for their employees, for home use. I mean, I know they have a strong commitment to that location. It's actually significantly larger than the location of Rochester. That's why it's been
How much
exciting to
larger?
see the commitment to this area, bringing these new jobs to this area.
No, it's fantastic. Just, do you know how much larger that facility is relative to the
I
Scottsdale?
don't. I know they have open floor space. They could take this machine without doing any building.
Okay.
So
Yeah, without adding any square footage capacity to their building as it is.
I would be, as a follow-up, if you
Sure.
could get that information, I would be interested to know that. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, we had a public hearing on this matter on March 24th. Were there any comments from the public?
There were. So the town supervisor attended and spoke. She was generally in favor of the project and has demonstrated Supervision is a great asset to their community, but expressed concern about property tax abatements, general generally in exemptions because the town has a small tax base and a number of agricultural exemptions, which COMIDA does not administer agricultural exemption of an educational point of what exemptions on a small tax base. Another member of the public raised concerns as he neighbors the property, but those would fall within the purview of the planning and zoning department of the town and the village rather than COMIDA. And another member of the public spoke in favor of the project, noting what a great citizen they are of their community.
Any questions on that? Okay, thank you, Rachel. So I'll ask you a few questions. Are you aware of our local labor policy?
I certainly am.
And do you anticipate any local labor exemptions at this time?
No.
And are you aware that any exemptions need to be requested 45 days in advance?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Can I ask a question about that?
Absolutely.
So we've already cut almost $6.5 million in purchase orders to local companies like Schuler Haas, or actually Hamilton Stern is the general contractor. They're using Schuler Haas, they're using Bolter, they're using MCOR Bethlehem. They're all local companies. Sonatrol. My question, I probably should have asked this to you sooner. Is Supervision responsible for holding them accountable for using
Yes.
local labor? Okay. I shared that with them already, that
Right.
this is a COMIDA project. They all understand that. So,
Yeah.
okay.
Because we would be reaching out to you,
Yep.
both of you.
We're the accountants.
Somehow because we do go out to the sites, we inspect, the folks that are out there working, and we ask for IDs, and we determine if they're local folks living in our communities. If not, then you would have to rectify that quickly.
Yeah, again, all the general contractor and all the subcontractors are well aware that they're used to doing projects under COMIDA's purview, so
Great.
it's new to me, though, that's all.
Okay.
Why I asked.
Great. Any other questions? Okay, the seeker process is complete. We have waived the reading of the resolution, so I'll ask for a motion for inducement and final resolution approving a real property tax abatement and sales tax.
No motion.
It's been moved by Joe,
Second.
seconded by Troy. Any additional comments, questions? Take a roll call vote. Jay,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
Troy,
Yay.
Joe,
Yes.
Rhett,
Yay.
Ann is a yay. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank
So
you.
thank you and continued success to you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to move on to 1200 Lee Road, LLC Alliance Precision Plastics Corporation. And I believe we have Representatives Ed Brillante and Joe Williams with us. If you could tell us your positions, that would be great.
My name's Joe Williams. I'm Vice President of Operations for Alliance Precision Plastics.
Okay,
Everyone, I represent 1200 Lee Road,
you represent,
1200 Lee Road LLC. It's the building.
okay. All right, so we'll start with Robin, who'll give us an update on this project.
Alliance Precision Plastics is a manufacturer with 2 facilities in Monroe County and 1 facility in Spindale, North Carolina. Alliance Precision Plastics designs and builds injection mold tooling and parts for a number of different industries, including medical products, industrial tools, consumer durables, and business office machines. The proposed project will expand and renovate the current space at the Lee Road facility and will consolidate the injection molding operations from the Elmore Drive facility. This renovation will add nearly 25,000 square feet to the existing building. This $6.2 million project is projected to create 35 new FTEs in addition to the 220 existing jobs. Tax exemptions only. The benefit incentive.
Okay, thank you. Would you like to elaborate on that?
Sure. For my part, Alliance is like Supervision, other Rochester success story. We've been in business since 1953. Started as just a tool and die maker and growing from there. The current ownership group has been present since 1998. And we make all kinds of different products for everyday businesses, from bowling pins to lacrosse helmets to medical devices. And there's about 2,500 different SKUs that we produce for a variety of OEMs, both local and around the country. So this project basically is consolidating all of our operations from the Elmore Drive facility, which is in Greece, to our 1220 Lee Road facility, also in Greece. primarily for, again, to maintain competitiveness in this market, to consolidate our operations. But another big piece to that is just getting locations where people can access. So we have a lot of entry-level jobs as part of the growth pattern, and getting people to that Elm Grove site, which it's off the road, but just again, entry-level people, getting them to the site is very difficult. So that was a big factor in partnering with Ed and 1220 Lee Road to consolidate those operations, to get people on a bus line and get workers to the site. So that's kind of the overall arching overview of the project.
And you had considered moving a lot of this to North Carolina?
Correct. Yeah. In 2012, we did open that facility. We purchased that facility that was going to go into bankruptcy. That facility primarily serviced the the appliance market, so it's very localized. That said, opportunities arose to expand that facility and kind of relocate or redistribute the work from Rochester, partnering with the SD and hopefully with this program as well, chose to move this way and grow in Rochester versus expanding down North Carolina.
We appreciate that. And it is one of those local success stories, starting out as a tool and die shop, and to have the business grow to this.
Yeah,
size.
no, and it was a big piece of top management. Again, my personal experience is 28 years. I have people in the organization that are 40-year veterans that were part of the original group. So it is a story for Rochester, and we're glad to keep that going.
That's great. Questions from the board? Okay, I guess we've answered everyone's questions. So there was a public hearing on March 24th. We had a busy day for hearing.
We did. We're all over. No comment.
Okay. And no comments. Okay. All right. And are you aware of our local labor policy?
Yes.
Do you anticipate any local labor exemptions at this time?
No.
And are you aware that any exemptions need to be requested 45 days in advance?
Yes.
Thank you. The seeker process is complete. We have waived the reading of the resolution. So I'll now ask for a motion for inducement and final resolution approving the sales tax exemptions.
So
Moved by Rhett,
second.
seconded by Joe. Any additional comments, questions? Yeah, I'll take a roll call. Jay?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Troy?
Yay.
Joe?
Yes.
And Rhett?
Yay.
And Ann is a yay. Motion carries unanimously. We must be in a good mood here today. Great projects, that's what we have. Thank you very much, and good luck on your expansion. Okay, now we're going to move into project modifications. And the first one is MS International Inc., which is an extension. Robin?
Yes, MS International Inc. is a leading wholesale distributor of flooring, countertops, wall tile, and hardscaping products. The applicant was granted a sales tax exemption in December 2020 and is seeking an extension of the sales tax exemption through June 30th, 2022 because of closing delays.
Okay, so I don't believe we have anyone here representing that. So it's an extension of the sales tax exemption through June 30, 2022, because of closing delays. So, may I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Been moved by Jay, seconded by Rhett. Any additional comments, questions? All those in,
I need to abstain from this
okay, one abstention. Thank you, Lisa. All right. All those in favor say, did I say that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right, thank you. All right, second modification is 2064 Fairport 9 Mile Road. And I believe we have Fred Rinaldi with us. Welcome. Robin?
2064 Fairport 9 Mile Point Road Associates is selling the property to, it's actually MMAC at the top, PIX 2, Penfield, New York, SPE, LLC. The facility is used for sports medicine, sports, spine, and hand rehabilitation, urgent care, and general orthopedics. 2022 is actually the last year for benefits.
Okay, So it's MMAC that is selling to MMRE.
2064 Fairport 9 Mile Road is selling to the MMAC entity.
MMRE, right?
Yes, all the, yes,
All the letters.
all the letters. in
And
the
all the
alphabet.
letters. Okay. Brett, we're hung up on, the ownership here. Comments?
Just add some detail to the acquiring entity. It's actually a part of the Montecito Group, which is one of the largest, most sophisticated acquirers and managers of specialty medical assets and projects. So this is actually a really good sign to have them in our market, and this is a very common part of the life cycle of this type of specialty medical product. So this is a sports medicine facility that was built in 2012, and it's intended to remain a sports medicine facility and continue to evolve within that market.
Okay, great.
Is this their first acquisition in this market?
There are, I don't know that they've transacted, but they're active
Okay.
now with, and like I said, it's a really good sign, given the construct of this entity, the requirements, and how they manage the facilities. This is it's a committed entity, which is a good thing. You don't see us doing this very often. It has to pass a very strict threshold, and this indicates no lesser interest of us in that area. In fact, this is a part of a growth plan for our similar type product and then supporting product within the 250-441 corridor.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? All right, we're waiving the reading of the resolution, so I'll ask for a motion to approve the sale of the facility and assignment of the real property tax abatement. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Moved by Lisa, second by Rhett. Any comments, questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we have a bunch of administrative issues. Thank you, Fred. We have a bunch of administrative issues because this is our annual meeting. We also have some discussion items. So this is all pretty much internal business for those of you who may not want to spend the next hour with us or something. But it's up to you. You're welcome to stay. Thank you. Okay, first up is the discussion items from the executive director to talk to us about the Rochester International Jazz Festival request. And we have someone here
We have, yes.
there. And what is your name?
Good afternoon.
What is your name?
Mark Iacone.
Okay, Mark. All right, thank you. So, Robin, you want to bring this issue up and then we'll let Mark elaborate?
Yeah, would love to.
There's not much to say besides about the Rochester International Jazz Festival. It's 18 years now. I won't steal Mark's thunder to give him his you can hear his passion talking about the event and the funding request that has come before the board.
Okay.
Hi,
Welcome,
everybody.
Mark. Thanks for
Mark.
coming.
Welcome.
I'm here with my
You all see
colleagues, Jean and I always forget Jocelyn, it's Goldberg.
Schlegel.
As I'm getting this ready here, hopefully this comes on, I want to thank you guys in advance for my other life. I'm a second generation business in Cone Electronics and decided to stay in Rochester, purchased the industrial park a bunch of years back and keep some Cone Electronics here and grow the business. Also along the way, COMIDA has helped with some of the investments that we've made, and the latest one was going into a brand new building out on Elm Grove, which we've on a roll, as long as Amazon stays on a roll, and can build some buildings. Our product is going into another one of our customers, so that means between 50 and 100 jobs is starting to move for us. So a little bit of a pause right now, but we actually have hired at least 30 people over the last 2.5 years, and it's trending. So that's my other life. That other life has afforded me to be involved in this. Let's see if I can do this right. start off. What I wanted to do is say that it's been, I'm gonna speed talk because I know everyone is busy. It's been 2 years.
You want to see there? You
I
want
will
me to
move
move
over.
over?
It's been 2 years, so I figured I would get us acclimated back to, because of what COVID did and put us on pause. So the 18 years, we were going in to celebrate our 19th year on June 19th, which happened to be COVID-19, so there were a lot of 19s in here, and that was my birthday on June 19th. So I don't know what the significance is behind that, but we're back. With that said, I'd just like to take a few minutes just to explain why I made the investment 19 years ago to surround myself with some great people. My partner John Nugent brought the concept to Rochester, and it was around economic development, arts, creative improvised music, quality of life, and bringing the world to Rochester, New York eventually. And that's happened. It didn't happen by accident, it happened by great support. Our model was government support, sponsorship, corporate support, and then hopefully some revenues that come in there to support that, as well as giving back. And we invested back in immediately with a scholarship that you'll see here that is based in Rochester. It's well over $500,000 that we've given back, and then the economic impact that's happened. And you can interrupt me anytime you want. I'm going to speed talk because I know time is valuable. And we're going to collaborate a little bit together. Jocelyn is with Rochester Research Group here, where we have our third-party surveys, where we are able to give back the data to all our sponsors and anyone that's interested in with regards to the economic impact and the quality of life and what happens from the effect pre, during, and post the residual information that we like to share with people. So that is her organization, third party. Jean Dalmuth is with Dalmuth Associates. She's been our PR director from year one as well. And the county has been a founding supporter and sponsor from year one of the festival, along with some other corporate sponsors. Attendance, 208,000 is where it trends to each year based on the element of the Club Pass series, which is very unique amongst itself, other festivals that are happening around the world. That is a pass that's invested in by individuals in advance. So for the past 17, 18 years, we have been selling club passes before announcing a lineup. That means that the confidence level is there by the patrons that are coming to the festival in advance. The weather is dependent on what we do outside, which I'll get into a little bit, the uniqueness of what we're doing this year, why the support is so important in regards to what we're doing from a free standpoint. But again, these are numbers that we do not make up, and I can have Jocelyn at a certain point in time in this presentation give some input, as well as Jean give some input as well. These venues here, the 9 days, we've been very consistent. The stages have been increasing. This is as of 2019, so we've been shuttered for 2 years. There are going to be more shows than 320 shows this year. The free shows are increasing as well as what we're doing with some of the support that we have. And the number of artists that are coming is consistent, and there's a theme to each venue. And there is also an educational aspect of this festival, not only with the music, but what we do with some workshops. And again, not to be redundant, but the shows, there's some shots here in terms of attendance and what it looks like on Parcel 5. I'm not sure any of you saw the press conference and what we're doing. We're taking some of that support and really putting it into free shows versus ticketed shows. And in essence, we are relinquishing revenue from ticket sales in order to present free performances. We're making a statement with some of the support that we have this year, which we will not receive next year. I hope we don't receive it next year in terms of that, because the reason we got it was because we were shuttered. And many organizations are kept alive this year because of a grant that was championed by Senator Schumer. So we know, I hope that doesn't come back, because that means then there is another problem. There was another pandemic, which I hope does not happen.
And Mark, the 102 was from 2 years ago. So
Yes.
this year it's 130, which is a record number of free shows.
Correct. In terms of not tooting our own horn, but these are people that recognize us. Some of these organizations, they come out of the woodwork around the world as well as here in the country in terms of recognition. Locally, obviously, we receive recognition. So this is a testament to the planning, the support, and the execution of a festival that we believe is world-class. Just some more recognition for us. This is near and dear to John and I from year one. My parents instilled to me, never forget where you've come from in this community. That's why I've stayed in Rochester when prodded a little bit to leave with the business. And I said, nope, this is where my father's business took off. This is where I'm going to stay, as long as my wife doesn't change the locks on the door. But my father and my mother instilled in me to give back. My father was homeless. His partner, Cy Brightman, was a concentration camp survivor. They both were generous givers. So I said to John, we're going to do something. We're going to make it significant. So each year, as part of our line item budget, we actually have made a commitment and an endowment through Community Foundation of a minimum of $25,000 a year. And we've been doing that for several years. And this is the scholarship. So we have the workshops that I didn't want to go past real quick. These are the artists that come in for the Jazz Festival that are here during those 5 days. They actually sit and spend time with a student of any age. We have any age students now because it was so popular. There were people that were retired said, well, I'd like to come in and play and learn. So we've opened it up to everybody. And you see whole families come now, which is really interesting. They come down during the day before the festival starts and they end up staying for lunch and dinner, and then you go to shows. The scholarship I talked about, the economic impact, which to me is very important because I talked about during, post, before, during, and residual of the effect of what's happening. Jocelyn's company has been working with us for decades.
I'd like to interrupt if I could.
Sure.
And economic impact of this festival is really it's a three-legged stool. There's 3 parts of it. One part is the $9 to $10 million that's really built upon what the audience spends while they're there. Okay, so we ask them, while you're down at the festival, what else will you be doing? These are, while attending the festival, they're going to restaurants, they're going to bars, they're going to coffee shops, wineries, shopping, museums, and other local attractions, and on and on and on. So those are dollars that are being spent that are ancillary, and they don't come to the festival, but they come because of the festival. Then you have the economic impact of the festival's own spending, which in order to put on this festival each year, they're getting tents and security and marketing and paying the performers and the support staff and so on and so on. So that's another contribution to the economic impact. And then you have something that I think is just as important, albeit difficult to quantify. Hang on to that. And look at this. And that is the way the Jazz Festival makes this community feel about itself. We have asked over 2,000 people each and every year, how does the Jazz Festival make you feel about Rochester, New York? And every year, the emerging theme, again and again and again, are 2 words: pride and proud. For a region to thrive, the people of that region need to be proud. And the Jazz Festival makes them feel that way. Some of you have a set of assembled verbatims, and some of you have a word cloud that was built from those verbatims. Okay, but what you see here is a tremendous, impossible to quantify, but an enormous, significant impact of this Jazz Festival. Again and again, we hear these are the best 9 days of the year in the Rochester region.
Thank you.
And if I could just add one thing to that also, it's not a surprise that Visit Rochester and GRE, 2 of your partners, use those 9 days to bring their prospects here to showcase the city, because it's just such a joyous, vibrant time of the year. So, and they've been very successful in bringing a lot of conferences and other meetings to the city, which again is another residual economic development that we've generated.
Thank you.
Mark, quick question. Out of the 200+ thousand attendees, do you have a sense of how many are from out of town? Like outside of like the the
Sure, it's a great
contiguous
question.
counties.
We love that question. We have tracked, and we do track each year, over 20 states that people come in from. The majority of our attendance, we are pulling from our county and from Syracuse and Buffalo. So what we've noticed is the revisits are increasing. Some of the surveys that we have, the details are, in my opinion, obviously when you have a professional that you're working with non-biased and they're getting the information, it's great to see how this data is rolled out back to us, knowing that revisits the number of people that came the year before and now came for 3 more days or 4 more days. So there's staycations, there's people that are here, and what's happening, and I live by what I say, we do business to business during the 9 days, Syncona. So we bring in people, we put them up at hotels, suppliers, customers, because Syncona does business all over. So I'm preaching I'm doing what I'm preaching, because that's where the economic impact comes from. The other thing that's happening as well, I hope I answered your question. They're coming mainly, this is an 80-20 now, but 20% they are
So
coming
it's
from,
roughly 20% coming up.
they are coming from different states and different countries.
Okay.
And they're not just artists that are coming from the different countries. Now we are being recognized as a stop, as a major festival.
And do you have a sense of that trend over the years? Is that 20% been flat, growing?
No, I believe it's grown because
Okay.
now it was heavily weighted. It was Rochester, right? When we went from the 5 days and we graduated to the 9 days, that is where the momentum really started. And what's happened is unique that we have not really competed, in my opinion, with other festivals in terms of in upstate New York, right? We've carved out a niche of what we present. There's elements to this festival that make it unique. The other thing that is happening is that jobs are being created by the organizations that really were vocal when we decided to go out to RIT for health reasons. So that was, on social media, I do 30% of my business during those 9 days. I hire people. Now I'm not going to hire those people. So we are actually creating jobs that have interns themselves in these jobs.
Yeah, no, it's great.
There's also a tremendous amount of loyalty. We ask people, how many years have you come to the Jazz Festival? And an astounding number, I'd have to look in the data to remember what that astounding number was, but I was shocked at the number of people who've come all 18 years. That's a tremendous amount of loyalty.
So to that point, you're stating 20 individuals at the
20
rate
plus.
of $20 per hour. How many of those individuals do you see employees coming back?
Well, here's the dilemma, and what I wanted to say was I appreciate this time. I had some time to contemplate, and I really appreciate the ladies working with me, because as we get older, our patience level as entrepreneurs, we think everybody's thinking on the same page as us in terms of knowing everything. So I had some time to reflect and say, possibly you guys didn't really understand what we do even before now to go down the path of, and maybe this is not the channel, but I need support. We need support for what we're doing, is that we may have to tell some people in order to fulfill these things that they're not coming back. So there are people that have full-time jobs that come in with the loyalty was mentioned. No, but there are in the positions that we're going to work with, there are people that have full-time jobs but love the festival. And we pay those people. There are people that volunteer. There's a volunteer network, and those are the people that show up. They just want to hear the free music, and they're there for an hour. They check something, they're doing this, and making sure there's not a mess somewhere. But the element of the logistics direction that we invest in, and I outsource that to, who has a team of it herself. She's been with us for years. She hires those people. And I have other people that we, in the venues that we work with, there are people that may not get that call that are looking forward to coming and making some ancillary income during the 9 days. So that's a little bit of a challenge for me mentally on how I'm gonna juggle that.
Mark, I just want to add that all those 3 main people, Jocelyn, my company, Jenna's company, we're all women-owned businesses. And our certification is pending because there's such a backlog in the state. But I know that's also aligned with your objectives, is to support women-owned businesses.
And they've been women-owned businesses for
20,
decades.
26 years, yeah.
So
36 years. Yeah.
So it's really important that we are creating. Now, the other thing that we are doing, and we've been doing it, is that we work with some of the colleges. So Anna Stenport, who I just had a meeting with at RIT, Carl Stabnow, was one of our first recipients of our scholarship, went to the Eastman, then went to Syracuse, got his master's. He's back here, He's an entrepreneur along with his wife in terms of a theater here that's been renovated. They have been working with us with interns. So they have been getting interns from Brockport. Now I'm looking at, because he's associated with RIT, to be using the students from liberal arts and the performing arts that RIT has now started with President Munson, who I've been talking to, and Jim Waters. They're very interested in what we're doing.
Mark, did you want to mention the fact that you've gotten support from the mayor and from Adam Bell?
Yeah. So at our press conference, Adam from Albany made a very eloquent speech about the support of this and the economic driver that it is, and that the county is supporting. 2 years ago, when I met with the county and Adam in the first few months, we're obviously before COVID hit, we're there to support you. We know about the festival, so which leads us to today. We've looked at it. I've always viewed this as the city invests in it, as well as the county has been investing for many years. As the investment, the ROI is what happens economically, and also the proof is in the pudding when you talk to the entrepreneurs in the footprint of the festival and in the hotels and the other restaurants outside of the footprint as well. So to me, the request is a little over 3% of the overall budget, which we spent. The request the artist, taking the artist fee out of it, brings it to a little over 5%. There's an onboarding cost in terms of education to the individuals now that I'm asking to. We're gonna have to place some new people in to educate them, so that $20 an hour is an extra $11 an hour at the 80 to 90 hours that may be there. The reason I said 20 plus is we possibly look at it is, what are you doing with the money? Pay on performance, show the feedback, do the wrap up, which we've done every single year. What I do, which I appreciate from the two entrepreneurs here, that we sequester their service, pay for their services, to provide data that is legitimate data and not gray area data back to our sponsors and back to our government. And I feel that as an entrepreneur myself, was once a sponsor in the first year, but before the note was ended, I said, this is not going to leave Rochester. I wrote a very large investment to keep it here, to say that I'm going to be involved in this. I'm not going to be silent, because it's my hometown, and I want to make sure that this thing is sustainable. And it has been, and not by accident, not by myself. And we're blessed. We're blessed to have a great team and people locally. Over 80% of 85% to 90% of what we do, we outsource locally and regionally. So the dollars stay here.
And this growth has not been easy. I remember just in the beginning when people said, I won't go downtown. I won't go there. It's too dangerous. There's nothing for me there. And it took us all of this time to build that security and that interest in coming downtown again. And I know how important the core city is to the county as a whole. And but it was a building process.
And that's the reason I kept Simcoe in the city, not only in Monroe County. It started on Joseph Avenue. It's on Mount Reed Boulevard. I made the next phase to buy the industrial park so that I can employ more people. And then the manufacturing took off. So that affords me to keep me, what is the byproduct of having to attract people and bring people in from out of town. And I'm actually able to take a part in that. I just want to show you real quick, because we did talk a lot about, and
I think we have copies of all of that in our
I can
packets.
send this
Do you
as
want
well.
to just cut to the chase and?
I do. So the chase is I asked for more support because of what we're doing. It looks as like I'm going back to my original request of the funding that is there. Am I publicly saying it?
The 75?
Yes.
Yeah.
But here's what's happening with it. This is a review of what we didn't see for the last 2 years, what happened in 2019. That's parcel 5. That parcel 5 was only like that for 3-4 days. Now with the funding that we received, that I don't believe we're going to receive again, and I don't like this phrase, no good deed goes unpunished, but I have a strange feeling if it's beautiful weather, which we're taking a huge risk, in terms of that, instead of doing indoor ticketed, we're producing 9 days of free events of headliners. 9 days at 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and 9 o'clock, there will be free shows. These are the shows that are free. This is at Martin Luther King Park on the second weekend. This is happening right here, are 3 shows every day with these headliners every day on Parcel 5. So the artist fee and production budget that we are incurring is not relying on any kind of ticket revenue. It's going to rely on subsidies from some of the other revenues that are out there. The food vendors, we do not ask them for a check, because I don't like to work that way and walk by somebody that wrote me a check for double-digit $1,000 to be there, and it rains for 4 or 5 days, and they have waste, they have labor, and I don't feel right about that. So we work on a percentage. And so this here is unique. I would like to keep it like that going forward as free to the community. These shows are international shows.
Okay. Thank you.
And then this is the series
Okay,
that really drives the festival.
great.
Thank you.
Okay.
We are we are underwriting the music for the Juneteenth celebrations, and I will have that in my budget going forward, because June 19th happens to be my birthday, but and I know a lot about Juneteenth growing up because of the significance of this date. This will be part of our budget going forward, because this falls during the festival almost every year. So there's 2 major events that are recognizing Juneteenth.
Okay. Questions from the board on this? So the request is for $75,000, and the money will be spent on interns, to help involve them and give them the educational experience of that. Is there any more you want to elaborate on the internship? No. Okay. And it's how many interns?
Well, it's minimum 20, but we probably would go to 30.
Okay. Okay. Questions from the board on that? Alrighty.
I have a comment.
Rhett.
So you talked about the 3 things that are important to the community. I think the last one, the feeling of the community, it really is something that's hard to gauge, but it's probably more important than anything else, because it speaks volumes about the people that put on the show, the artists, and it represents all of us, not just here in Monroe County, but probably beyond. So I'm glad that was brought up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The diversity of the programming, in my opinion, is an example. From year one, the programming has been diverse, and the recognition of not only the patrons saying it, we have artists that are saying the way they've treated, how they feel in the community when they're here. Can I come back? Can I play? I mean, it's pretty cool when that happens.
Okay, thank you very much,
Thank
Mark. So I'll ask for, is there anything else you wanted to add, Robin? No. Okay. I'll ask for a motion to approve the execution and delivery of a contract with the Rochester International Jazz Fest for the purpose of funding an internship program in an amount not to exceed $75,000. Is there a motion? Moved by Rhett, seconded by Lisa. She raised her hand. Any additional comments, questions?
Look forward to seeing G Love and Special Sauce. Good to see them back in
Do you
town.
know when the last time they were here? Where they played?
East Penny Arcade,
No.
1988.
East Avenue Chestnut during the Jazz Festival.
Jazz, yeah.
And that's when my wife called me and she said, "You need to get down here." And I said, "Why?" She said, it's a problem. I said, "What's the problem?" And I ran down. I went down next to it wasn't City Grill yet, and I went up there and I walked up and there was a sea of people. That's what she was nervous of. She had never seen that many people there, and it was a great crowd. Right?
They're high energy group. Good to see.
Any other questions? We're in the middle of a motion.
Sorry about that,
Not a problem. All right. All
Special
those-
Sauce does that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Opposed? Motion carries. Good luck, Mark. We're
Thank you.
happy to be a part of it. Thank you very much. Okay, next item is Ptac annual report, and 2022-23 funding request. Robin?
Yeah. Organize for a second, get Anna's presentation up on the screen. Thank you. Thanks for having me there. I'll make it quick. I'd like to, let me introduce Anna Fitzsimmons, who is the program director for Ptac. Ptac is part of our Monroe County Economic Development team, one of our incentives or programs that we provide for businesses. And I'll just remind the board that COMIDA has always been the sponsor of Ptac, or Anna gets most of her funding is through federal funds, and COMIDA has been the sponsor, but up until last year was not the funding source. The funding came from MCIDC through COMIDA. It was kind of a web, and so we've fixed the web, and so now it's all under COMIDA right now, as they're also considered COMIDA employees. And so COMIDA is the matching fund. So Anna's calendar year is different, of course, with federal. Follows the federal, so it's
off by 1 month of the federal fiscal year.
Oh, even that.
It means we have 5 reports, not 4.
Yeah. So she needs to put her official funding request in next month in April, which is why she needs it officially blessed by the COMIDA board today.
Yes.
Did I say that right?
Yes.
And then, I need to turn this on. Yes. Hold on. I was doing that, but I can't talk.
So, thank you, Robin, that's a great introduction. I'll do a quick overview about the program. I think you've heard this before when I came last time. Excellent. So these stats cover us up through mid-March that I've shared with you today. And if we go to the next slide, well, just a quick reminder about the program. As Robin said, we're a program of the Department of Defense, hosted by COMIDA. Also get provided some funds to execute the program. As you'll see, our program split is going to be 65-35. The DoD continues to increase and match. It's a very favored program. So this is the bulk of what we do: training, workshops, webinars, government to business matchmakers. Majority of our work is in the one-on-one counseling area. And when we do the one-on-one counseling, what we're doing is assessing, assisting, clarifying, and guiding. I like to break it down like that real quick. We want to make sure that the business has potential to sell to the government. We work closely with our resource partners at the Small Business Administration, Small Business Development Centers, and so forth. So if they're not ready, we make sure that they go over there, get their business going and started, come back to us, get ready to sell to the government. We help with everything from soup to nuts, registrations, certifications, as well as any type of clarifications on packaging, labeling, and so forth. We work very closely with different agencies. We bring in specialists. We just had Defense Contract Audit Agency come in and speak and talk to small businesses about those processes. Registrations and certifications. I just wanted to point out that now that Monroe County has the new certification process, the MBE and Women's Business Enterprise, as well as Minority Business Enterprise certifications, we're working closely to help businesses through that. The two ladies were sitting here. We know there's a long wait in New York State right now, and they're trying to expedite those. But in the meantime, the county's come up with this program in order to get them certified if they don't have a certification yet, so they can qualify for county loans or contracts rather. This is just a quick overview of our reporting metrics. It's set by DoD in terms of number of clients, counseling time, and participated events. And essentially, they look at our budget and say, okay, we think you should be doing this much and this much and this much. And we work to continuously improve those goals year after year. Next slide, please. So this is kind of where we are right now. We finished off last year great. We were 233% over our new client goal. We were short-staffed for a while. We were able to bring, because of COVID and so forth, and we were able to bring back on a new hire, and she's caught on great, as well as another half hire who's wonderful. So we did really good, and that obviously we've increased our goals to reflect those staff changes and increases. Next slide. So some great key operational successes. We have a 5-year agreement, but we still have to, with the application process, an option year, and that's where we have to receive obligation in writing that we do have matching funds in order to continue the program. But nobody else can compete with us on this Ptac, and we cover the 9-county Finger Lakes territory. Congressional and Senate program collaboration. So our funds are appropriated through Congress. So Senator Gillibrand has been a strong supporter of the program for years. Congressman Morelli is a very strong supporter. They always sign the Dear Colleague letter, and they up the funding for the program nationwide. We have partnered and continue to partner with the congressman. We held the DoD forum. We continue to partner with Senator Gillibrand. We're also recently invited to participate in a NASA event with the congressman. The congressman had us invited, which was great. It was a national program, brought great recognition to the program as well. And we were also highlighted in the Navy's Small Business Innovation Research newsletter in their winter 2022 edition. So some stats and where we finished off the year last year for Monroe County businesses that we assist and that reported to us, 74.76 million. So far year to date, we're on track doing very well at 67.93 million. You can see the difference in terms of the number of awarded firms. So we're seeing, and again, overall 9 county stats here. Kind of a quick eye view of what we've been working on outside of the one-on-one client base. We are planning to host another with the congressman in October, and we'll be partnering with a few of our next core and of course Monroe County next year. Any questions?
Okay, thank you, Anna. Any other comments you want to make from a staffing standpoint? Questions from the board? All right, so I'll ask then to for a motion to approve the execution. Wait a minute. Motion to approve the funding of Ptac for the 2022-23 fiscal year in the amount not to exceed $91,260. Motion?
So moved.
Moved by Jay, seconded by Joe. Any questions, comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much for your
Work.
continued support.
Great work and
Greatly
nice
appreciate it.
partnership for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, how about we move on from the dashboard because we talked about that earlier. Is that okay, Greg? Good. Or Robin actually was going to report further on it.
Yeah, but it's real time data with projects approved today.
Okay. Great performance so far. So I don't have any additional discussion items, and then we'll move into the annual organizational matters, which is the first item is our 2021 annual report. This is our annual meeting, and we do like to look back and talk about our accomplishments. So Robin's going to walk us through the report, and you should have received a copy of the presentation.
No, we did not. We didn't. We sent it. I sent it to you in advance, but here's hard copies.
Okay.
Surprise. And here it is.
We're moving so quickly all the time. It is great to stand back and talk about what we've accomplished
Yes.
and what we're still working on.
Yes. This was fun to put together, going back, and we keep all our board packets and then we go back, and Julie helped us this year go through and select our projects to focus on. What do we have? This one? Okay. So in summary, 2021 results, 53 new projects, 1.4 billion in company investments, projected direct job creation of over 2,000 over 3 years, 1,500 jobs retained, and estimating through our Inform Analytics program, over 6,000 construction jobs on all the projects.
That's huge.
Yes, and this is a breakdown that we provided every year, the number of approved projects by municipality. And then we went through and chose projects to highlight. How could we not highlight these 2 projects that were approved last year? The otherwise known as the Amazon projects. At USRE Manitou is the project that the big one in Gates, and USRE Rochester is the smaller facility in the town of Ogden. And I can report, Brian gave a report on where we are with the USRE Manitou. the USRE Rochester, we did speak with Josh Henderson this morning, and that one will be done in May. Will be construction completed and ready to open. FCP Driving Park LLC was a great project that we had. The tenant is Farmer John's Popcorn. If you recall, that's the one where the applicant spoke on when he walks through his facility, you hear all the different languages being spoken because he hires so many immigrants, and then they bring their families, and it's a great story. 850 EB LLC, another one of our larger projects that was approved last year, and that's the relocation of the Constellation Brands headquarters to downtown Rochester. We look forward to working with them and, everything that's going to bring to downtown, especially working here with, hopefully there's more restaurants and stuff that'll give us more lunch options downtown than what we currently have.
Robin, have they started work on that yet? Do you know if that's begun?
Very preliminary things,
Okay.
I think.
Went out to bid this week,
It did, okay.
actually, for right now.
Fantastic.
McGuire Family Property is another success story for a Rochester business, expanding in the city of Rochester, building a new building in the city.
I said to Robin, how come only 3 jobs? And she said,
Because the existing jobs is 27 and our pilot requirement is 10% over existing.
just in
Does anybody need clarification? Precision Optical Transceivers was another great project. It was a sales tax exemption only, $3.4 million in Henrietta, projected to create 32 jobs. 39 Jetview Drive. This is another great project. We've worked with Sidor Optics a couple times with Monroe County Economic Development through our MCIDC and through COMIDA, a new building next door to their existing building because they're expanding and growing so much. Forge Metal Finishing, another expansion to their existing building due to growth. That's where we are with projects. And then also felt that we needed to take a moment and kind of acknowledge the Empower program because so much of our funding goes to that program. And we did get this slide, which I of course can't see from this angle, from MCC. This kind of goes to date on the number of participants served. I don't want to get into detail on this, as you know, MCC we meet with MCC monthly, so we get monthly updates from them. We've asked them to plan to come to the board twice a year. I believe they did just come in January, so we approved funding for the healthcare portion of the program, the $200,000. And then they came in November, I believe, and gave you an update. We'll have them come back late spring.
Robin, what's the incumbent worker training?
Oh, thank you, Jay.
I don't know.
I'm guessing it's training brought in by companies for their existing workforce to upskill.
That
or
is
to
one of the
refine
options. So
skills.
they will work with existing companies. We'll go to them and say, help us with.
And they create curriculum
Yes,
specifically
great
for.
course companies. I know they just did one with Love Beat.
Thank you.
I paused because I didn't realize that's what they called it. How
Are
they
we
refer
going
to
to
it.
change the name of this?
Yes,
It was like.
this started as Ladders Up.
Pardon?
It started as Ladders Up.
That's right.
Yes.
This is the new name.
Yes.
They rebranded.
Now it's called Empower.
That's right.
I think for further conversation, this is awesome. A statistic learned in construction recently, there was over 1,200 deaths on a construction site last year in the United States. There was over 5,000 deaths by suicide by construction workers in the United States. And to see maybe this mental health, to have MCC maybe get involved in the conversation is there's a lack of options, a lack of resources, and mental health is probably one of our, that's a big number. That's a scary number for not only veterans, but just for people struggling through COVID to lack of skilled workers on job sites and working a lot of overtime. So there's multiple factors in that, but that would be something I would like to maybe prick the county with, you know, the next job opportunity coming down the pike is,
And COVID hasn't helped.
but that's a ridiculous number,
Yeah.
It's terrible.
out of control number, yeah.
Okay.
To the 6,000 construction workers in 3 years, do the math on the percentage there, it's pretty high.
And last but not least, we thought it was important to kind of review where we are with the COMIDA modernization plan. And to date, so far, we've approved the plan and allocated the $2.5 million. We are going to, once we get this Paris report submitted, we're going to come up with the criteria and the reporting standards for the funded initiatives. I can share that we are working with our first community partner right now. We did pause them for a couple weeks till we can get to the middle of April.
Who's that?
It's called Yamatep, I always forget what it stands for. Young adult, YAM, young adult manufacturers, something, apprenticeship program, something like that. When you hear his story, you're gonna love. You're gonna be. It's great. He's a great person. He's got a great story, and he's very passionate about what he's doing. So we're working with him, hopefully, to kind of come back to the board with that first initial request in May or June. The other thing we had was requiring solar projects to make a contribution towards skilled training, and you'll be approving that hopefully later in the meeting when we get to the renewable energy policy. The governance committee has already blessed it to require all solar projects to make a $25,000 contribution to our workforce development fund. Another thing we'd like to tackle later on in this year is evaluate the job creation requirements for projects seeking real property tax abatements, right? As we just talked, right now it's 10% over existing. And we're looking to take a look at that, whether we up that to 20%, whether we base on whatever. We have a lot of ideas.
So like a lot of times companies will project that they're going to create 5, but we have a 1 job requirement. So taking a look at whether using the projected number might make better sense.
So we'll be coming back to the board later in the year on some suggestions on that. And then again, we have the Monroe County Comprehensive Plan that Greg had spoke about that the COMIDA has funded for the county, and we're just kind of following that along to kind of see what comes out of that, results from that on potential programs going forward.
Great job, really, everyone. Thanks for all of your commitment and involvement and staff and board. It's just terrific to look at the highlights, so thanks for putting that together for us. Okay, we'll try to zip right along here. The next item is the Audit Committee report, and I know Tom Zuper is with us, hiding behind the screen there. We did, the Audit Committee met on March 22nd to review the audit and to meet with the auditing team of Mendel, Metzger, and Barr, and Tom, and John. And, I think basically, and I'll let you summarize it, but we had a good audit. We had cooperation from our team to work with Tom and his, and no material weaknesses, deficiencies, no internal control problems, no misstatements of any kind.
You're exactly right.
So it was good. So congratulations to the staff and to your firm too for working with us on that.
Yeah, no, it was a very good audit process, and we appreciate all the assistance from your team. Again, it was a very clean audit, no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies. So, again, it went very smoothly.
No adjustments.
Yeah. So, as part of the process, we did meet with the audit committee last week and spent a little over half an hour talking about the audit process and your variances. We had a very good discussion. Again, the unqualified opinion, no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies. We talked a little bit about the internal controls and checks and balances, and again, very positive news there. We did talk about the activity as well, and the fact that you've heard it here today, of the significant increase in activity from last year to this year certainly is reflective of the bottom line. Very, very positive financial results. So your equity is up over almost $1.7 million. So again, very positive from the year-end financial reporting. So again, we did have a very good discussion. We also issued the letter of communication, which basically talks about the process, that there were no hiccups, if you will, in the audit process. Information was provided to us. We had some good discussions. There were no disagreements with management. So really a very standard letter of communication. So again, very positive from the audit side.
Okay, and did everyone get a copy of the audit? Board
Last
members?
week,
Yes, as part of that package.
everybody
Yes.
got it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's in a pile of
Okay,
papers. It's all gone.
questions about the audit? So I think in one of your opening statements in your packet, you commented on the ability to easily get the information you were requesting from staff. So nothing to interfere with access to books and records and all of that. So
Yep, the audit went very smoothly. And again, there was a good line of communication between the audit team and management. And again, we were able to get all the information we needed to complete the audit.
okay. All right. Any questions for Tom? All right. So do we want to approve the audit separately or just keep going? I guess.
We can do that now.
Yeah, why don't we, the committee voted to obviously to accept the report, so I will, as chair, bring that forward to you for your consideration that as the full board that you're accepting also the 2021 audit report.
Also,
Moved by Brett, seconded by Jay. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. So thank you very much, Tom. We appreciate our relationship with you. We also, as a committee, met to review our committee's charter, and there were no changes. So there was a motion to readopt the audit committee charter with no changes. I'm not sure I need to do that separately, or do I? Looks like there's one motion here that I can make that covers that, as well as we had a motion to recommend that the full board approve the internal controls and financial accountability policy and the whistleblower policy with no changes. So at this point, I will ask the full board to accept the committee's recommendations that we accept the financial audit and readopt the internal control and financial accountability policy and the whistleblower policy with no changes. And lastly, we reviewed during the audit committee our self-evaluation, and there were no issues on that. Okay, so may I have a motion? Joe moved and Rhett seconded. Any other comments, questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay, now the financial audit, or financial committee met also. And on March 22nd, it was the what do we want to call it? The home run effort to get 4 committees meeting. Anyway, we reviewed our fee schedule and we recommend that the full board accept our existing fee schedule. We also reviewed the committee charter, and there were no changes to that. And we reviewed our some of our policies, and there were some changes. The first was a motion to recommend that the full board readopt the investment and deposit policy with changes, which calls for a $15 million limitation on deposits to any one financial institution. So that's going from 5 million to 15 million. And also the approval of the disposition policy and the procurement policy. So can we do that in one motion? Okay, I'll ask for a motion.
Just a quick question.
Yes.
Was it, we went from 5 to 15?
Yes.
We talked about 10 and then we went to 15.
There was actually no limitation in the policy before, and the auditors recommended it, and we talked about 15 being the appropriate limit.
Okay.
So that was the Finance Committee report. And let's see, do we want to do the compliance while we're doing committee report?
Sure, you can do the compliance now.
Yeah. Why not? Why the heck not? Okay, we received a, did I skip a motion?
Do we need to make one?
Yes.
for Finance?
You can make the motion now on finance, or Jay, Jay is gonna report on governance, and then
Right.
we've got all of the, so we can handle it
we'll do
then.
that. Okay.
Thank you.
So with regard to the Compliance Committee, we met also on March 22nd, and we were meeting to review the possible termination of one of our pilots. And we've been notified by the City of Rochester, received correspondence from them, the City Assessor, that we had approved a project under the Choice Program, which means that's owner-occupied commitment that you're making, and we have found them, and the city had found them using this facility as a
Short-term
Airbnb, short-term rental, and so the city believes they're in violation of their pilot, and we do too.
I did some research on that and found that there were comments, positive comments on that Airbnb as far back as May of 2021. So it's been being Airbnb
For a while.
For a while, yeah.
So we will give them 30 days to cure, right?
Yes.
And to discontinue the use of that facility.
As a
If
short-term
not,
rental.
their pilot will be terminated.
Yes, that's right. We'll send the letter today and then terminate 30 days if there's no cure.
Okay. All right.
Is there any clawback at all if it's been since mid-21, or we just terminated?
I
And
want
then
to talk
it's
to
going
the
fair.
city is not requesting that, but I will convene with Mike Cesara at the city and find out more about recapture. And if there is recapture, we'll come back.
Thank you.
Well, just because we know that there's something, activity in comics in 2021, it's an owner, it's never been owned.
It's right on the website, goes back to May of 2020. I went through all the comments, you know, what do they think of it? And
Yeah,
it went
this
back as far
particular,
as May of 2021 that I could find.
yeah, this particular owner I think has owned since 2015, so we're at least showing until 2021 that they've been using it as short-term rental.
Yeah.
So we'll talk to the city and see how they want to handle recapture.
So we do need to, and so the committee moved to send the letter of termination.
And the
So-
comments have been monthly, so there was a multitude, it's not just one or two comments, because I kept going back to see how far back they went.
Yeah.
Quite a history. Thanks for doing that research.
I was just curious. My
We all went on to.
my curiosity, yeah.
So the committee is recommending that the full board concur that and to notify the owner, the project owner of the default and the termination of the pilot agreement if the default is not cured. Is there a motion to
So
that
moved.
effect?
Second.
Yes, thank you. Second, any comments, questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. So we also discussed the annual compliance review process and procedure, and there are no changes to that. Is that in our group of
Yes.
policies? So I think we've covered compliance there, right?
Yep.
All right, so let's see, we are back to now talk about the governance committee. Yay, not chaired by me.
Thank you, Ann.
Jay.
We also met on the 22nd and had a very eventful meeting. we reviewed our charter, and in addition to our charter, you can see in your package, there was a host of policies to go through. And,
Every policy.
Every policy. Thank you, Robin. They largely remain unchanged. There's two notable exceptions. The investment and deposit policy, which I think was mentioned in the 15 million on the investment, but the deposit policy was changed so that in any financial institution, our deposits can't exceed $5 million. So that was a change made to the investment and deposit policy. And then Robin also mentioned the change in the renewable energy policy for solar and wind projects. There's a, the execution, there'll be a one-time $25,000 payment that the board here will use for workforce development. So fund additional workforce development activities, given the fact that these projects create construction jobs, but there's really no long-term jobs. So the idea is to be able to have more of a long-term impact within the community. So those were the big changes. And with that, Ann, I will recommend that we readopt our charter and these policies with the changes I just outlined.
Before your motion, did we circle back to the Amazon and the give back that we discussed with Amazon? Was that a conversation the governance committee had?
We did not have that conversation. I believe, Troy, if you're talking about the 2 million or so, whatever that they agreed to contribute. We had reduced the Amazon fee, and then they had mentioned that they would be contributing charitable contributions.
That's right.
And I think we brought that up in a meeting,
Right.
a few meetings ago.
Right.
Just tracking are they living up to that commitment as well?
They will be.
Okay. That's the right. Have they done anything to date, I guess?
No.
I think Anna was spearheading the discussion with the county executive.
We've nudged them.
So it's not dead, but I don't think there's any.
Was that supposed to be
right now.
given at the end of their projects? Or was that stipulated? How that was gonna be?
It was not stipulated. It was not a requirement from
Right, it
COMIDA.
wasn't a requirement associated with the benefits or anything of that nature. It was more of a statement that Amazon made that typically we provide these donations. We've seen that they've done so in other communities, so I don't think there's any doubt in anyone's mind that it will. It's just nothing that we have control over, but that said, Robin continues to follow up.
We keep nudging them.
Needs to be the right entity. And if it's Spencerport BOCES would probably be there with a huge bucket ready to go. Just saying.
You're just saying.
Just saying.
Just saying.
I believe that was suggested.
Yeah, that was part of the conversation.
Thank you for bringing that up, Troy, but that was outside the purview of what we were doing.
Okay.
So I will make a motion to renew our charter and these policies with the changes that I outlined.
And seconded by Rhett. Any other comments, questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thanks, Jay.
Are you also bringing the bylaws forward?
Absolutely.
Not
We were a
missing
very
anything.
efficient committee there.
Yeah.
We also reviewed our bylaws, and largely the bylaws remain unchanged. There were a few minor changes we made that came to light in light of Anna going out. We wanted to go beyond the executive director to staff and folks to be able to allow the group and community to function. So there were a few minor changes. If anybody's wants to know those in excruciating detail, I'd be happy to go through those. But they were, like I said, designed to keep the committee functioning and COMIDA functioning. So
You've done a great job.
Thank you.
She sure has.
Both of you have done a great job.
the whole group
All
has.
three of you.
All three of you is right.
4 and 5 of you.
So, and if there's no question by the board, I will recommend that we adopt the bylaws with the changes that that the committee that the committee approved at its March 22nd meeting.
Okay, thank you. Been moved, seconded. Any other comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
And finally, our mission statement and performance measure report. We reviewed those and we changed the mission statement to remove the word recreation from the mission statement. And we accepted the performance measure report and recommend those for approval of the board.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Joe. Any other comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay, moving right along. The next item is to have election of our officers. And the motion is to appoint the following officers: Ann Burr, Chair; Jake Pokley, Vice Chair; Troy Milne, Secretary; Lisa Bolsner, Treasurer. Ethics officers are the Chair of the Audit Committee, and the contracting officer is the Executive Director. Is there a motion to that? Moved by Joe, seconded by Rhett. Any other comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. We then also need to have an election or a motion of the Finance Committee, Finance and Committee Charters motion to appoint the following board members to the Finance Committee. Sorry, I'm not reading this well. Ann Burr, Lisa Bolsner, Rhett King, and Troy Milne.
So moved.
Separate motion. Second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed. We also need a motion to adopt the Audit Committee, Finance Committee, and Governance Committee charters.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you very much. All those in favor say aye. Hopefully I'm not missing anything.
You're good.
We're good? Okay, except for the board evaluation summary. And I know you gave me another copy of that. And I just put it someplace.
I can pull it up on here.
Isn't that funny? How many committee reports there? Oh, it was? Where was
Last page of the audit packet.
of the audit?
Is that right? No.
I think that's the audit
Just for
committee.
the audit.
Is that just the audit?
Here, I have it
That's the
upstairs.
The audit.
Love those fast fingers.
Here we go.
Oh, I'm sorry, I found it.
Well, here it is.
It's doing pretty.
Well, we have it on the screen.
You're doing great. It's a lot. You're doing great.
So, and everyone would see the copy of this?
Yeah.
This is the board evaluation of itself. And I thought, as a whole, the feedback was very positive. I think that there are opportunities where we could have some additional sort of educational sessions where we cover some of our policies, so there won't be, questions of why we're doing things the way we're doing them. So, but on the whole, I thought it was very positive. Anybody have any other thoughts on that?
No, I agree with you. It's always good to have some training and education, get reoriented.
So there was a New York State requirement. I took that. Is there like a follow-up, like that would be like core 1 and then there's 2 and then
We try to
specific
do
areas?
the educational session annually, but definitely if we have new board members, that's a requirement too, that we go deeper with a deeper dive on that training. Any other thoughts on that?
Does the ABO ask one of the questions they ask? Do they ask about training or?
They just ask that they've taken it and you're only required to take it.
Yeah, you're only
one time.
required to take it that one time, but we try to, when you come on the board, we try to onboard you with some training and then additional training throughout the year. But we'll plan to do that, like Ann said, we typically do it at that retreat, but we'll add, when there's a light agenda, we can add a little training session.
You don't recall.
Sorry.
It's like an hour and a half webinar you should have done. And then they test you to make sure you're still paying attention and throw questions in there.
My lady was, when I took it, it ended up being like 40 minutes. Something was going on, she was coughing or whatever.
Oh,
She
geez.
had a cough or something.
Oh, you got lucky.
Or whatever, and it was like after 40 minutes, she was like, okay, well, we're gonna
We're
cut this
done.
early.
Well, at
and
least
we're
you got
done."
lucky, that was
Nice.
good.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, I was like all set up for my.
Right.
Sure.
Shoot, I had Tompkins County, I had Rochester, I had all
And
Yeah,
Ogden's
bombarded.
Yeah, it was, it was
Okay.
throughout,
So what
there was
happens
throughout the
is-
state, but for some reason, she was just coughing and she's like,
Oh,
okay,
now I do it.
done.
So what it does.
Okay, so I think we're having lunch for
Yeah.
those of you who can stay.
Are we done?
And I'll just say one more time, thanks for a great year and all of your commitments. It's fun to be in the same room again.
Mhm.
And,
Indeed.
because we are, I think, a pretty darn effective working team.
So Ann, this for
Thank
you.
you.
1:51, you can adjourn.
Oh, thank you. I
Mickey
needed
says
a
it's
motion
okay.
to adjourn.
Mickey said it's okay.
I'll get, about a second.
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Meeting